This week we're going to be talking about disassembling the AR-15 as well as showing you how to clean it. First step in ensuring this weapon is safe and unloaded, we're going to remove the magazine from the weapon. We're going to pull our charge handle back, locking the bolt open. We're also going to visually inspect that chamber and make sure it is empty, which it is. So now we're going to head and drop our bolt. We're going to take our rear takedown pin and we're going to remove it, resting the upper on our table. We're going to apply pressure, taking out our front takedown pin. We're going to set our upper aside for now, and we're going to take our lower as well, set it aside. To take apart the upper, what we're going to do is lightly pull back on our charge handle. That will release our bolt from our upper receiver. We're going to pull our bolt straight out the upper receiver. With the charge handle, what we need to do is pull back and lightly down. There is a groove in the upper receiver. Once the charge handle reaches that groove, it will drop out of the upper receiver and come out. To clean our upper receiver, we're going to use our face shield with some Rand CLP oil. CLP is cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. It is one product that will do everything. We're going to take about a quarter size drop of our product, put it on our face shield. We're going to take our upper receiver and we are going to remove all the carbon from the upper receiver that we can visually see. We're going to get in there, both sides of the upper receiver. For heavy carbon, we could use a brush. I'm just using my finger for this application. I'm going to wipe down in the ejection port, making sure we get all the carbon and dirt removed that we can see. We go ahead and reapply some more oil, and we're going to go ahead and get in our chamber. Go ahead and clean the chamber. The chamber is going to be the extension of the barrel that we see that has a star-like pattern. We're going to wipe it out as best as we can, again removing all the carbon. Now, to clean the bore of the weapon, which is going to be the center of our barrel, I use a product that is called a bore snake. It is a simple method of cleaning. I'm going to drop a little bead down the barrel. I'm going to head and pull it through. It's going to mop the barrel. Then it's going to scrub the barrel as well as mop the barrel on the way out. So this is the bead I was describing. Again, I'm going to drop it down into the barrel. We'll let gravity work in our favor. It will fall out the front of the upper receiver. Going to head wrap it around my hand, pull it through. As I'm pulling it through, it is scrubbing the barrel as well as mopping it. Go ahead and do that a secondary time. Again, our bead is falling through. We're going to pull it through, cleaning the barrel. Essentially, we have cleaned our upper receiver. We're going to set that aside. We're going to work on our bolt carrier. Our bolt carrier consists of a few parts. We're going to have the carrier itself. We're going to have the bolt, the cam pin. We're going to have our firing pin, which is going to be located inside of our bolt carrier. And then we're going to have our cotter pin. The first step in disassembling the bolt, we're going to head and pull our cotter pin out. So I'm using a pick for this. You can use a punch, a paper clip, any other tool. Once that is removed, we can take our bolt carrier, tip it backwards, and as you can see, our firing pin falls out with gravity. We're going to push our bolt back, turning our cam pin just slightly to a 45-degree angle. At that point, we will go ahead and remove it from the bolt carrier. Then we will be free to take our bolt out of the carrier. And again, like I said, there are a few main parts. We're going to have our bolt carrier, our bolt itself, the cam pin, the firing pin, and our cotter pin. To clean the bolt carrier, I'm putting about a quarter size amount of lubricant onto our face shield here. I'm going to wipe our bolt of all carbon, freeing it up. We're going to apply a good amount of pressure to remove any excess carbon that is built up, caked on. We're going to bring this sucker back to a brand new shine. You want to make sure that you clean inside the bolt. Carbon will build up in there and is a common place people do not clean. You can see it is hollow inside. We want to make sure that we clean that out, as well as the back side of the bolt. And more importantly, we want to get the front end. That's where the biggest amount of carbon is going to build up on our DI or gas guns. All right, she's looking clean. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our bolt. Again, we're gonna wipe it down. This is gonna be the heaviest cake part due to the operation of a gas AR-15. So we're gonna wipe this best as we can here. As you can see, the heavy carbon is coming off very, very easily with this RAN CLP. Now, an important step is these are the lugs on the bolt. We want to ensure that we get in between them to clean all the carbon out. So what I'm going to do is fold up our face shield. I'm going to go ahead and put it in between, and I'm going to scrub that bolt down. In between every single lug. We're going to clean our bolt face. We're going to clean the back of our bolt. We got our cam pin. Our firing pin. And we have cleaned our bolt carrier. To reassemble the bolt carrier, we're going to take our bolt carrier. Taking our bolt, we want to ensure that our extractor, which is this device right here, is going to be facing the right, which is going to be on the side of our ejection port. So we'll go ahead and slip that back into our bolt. Pressing back, it should have a slight tension with our gas rings. We're going to take our cam pin again at that sideways angle, pushing it into the bolt carrier, turning it, and pulling the bolt forward. If we do not turn our cam pin, the firing pin will be blocked and we will not be able to completely reassemble our bolt. So again, turn that cam pin, make sure it's in the correct position. We're then going to take our firing pin with our bolt facing down. We're going to drop the firing pin into our bolt carrier and push it down. We're going to take our cotter pin and we're going to put it into our cotter pin slot. And that will retain the firing pin into the bolt, which will retain our cam pin as well as our bolt carrier. So we have essentially reassembled our bolt 100% completely now. To put that back into the upper receiver, we're going to take our charge handle, we're going to slide it in, and remember there is a light groove up top, so with now an upward pressure, lightly sliding in. Once we reach that groove, the charge handle will drop into the groove. We're going to press it forward just slightly, not all the way. If we do, our bolt will not go in. So again, we're going to keep it lightly out, ensuring that our bolt is all the way forward. If it gets pushed back, it will not go into the upper receiver, so we want to make sure it is in the forward position. We're going to reinsert that into the upper, pushing that forward, and we have reassembled our upper receiver. Now we're going to work on the lower receiver. To clean the lower receiver, what I like to do first, I'm going to take a punch and I'm going to remove my buffer system, pushing down on the detent. That will allow me to take out my buffer and spring. We'll set that aside. Using my face shield and a 1/4 size drop of product, I'm going to go ahead and release my hammer, not allowing it to hit the upper receiver. What I want to do is go ahead and get anywhere I can get in there, removing all carbon and fouling in the lower receiver as well as the trigger group. In the future, we'll show you how to remove the trigger so you can do a complete disassembly and cleaning on your receiver and trigger group. With our buffer removed, we're going to go ahead and put our finger in here. We can also use a mop to get in there further. As you can see, I got some good carbon and fouling out of there. Getting into our mag well. We're going to go ahead and reinsert our buffer system, putting the spring in first with the buffer in front. Lightly pressing back, our detent pin will retain it. What we're going to do, I'm going to release the hammer slightly forward. We're going to re-oil the hammer contact points. On the back here where it is silver, we'll lightly put a very small drop. We'll go ahead and put our hammer back. We're going to allow that oil to mesh with the sear, and it should be a nice smooth trigger pull at this point. To reassemble our AR-15, we're going to take our lower receiver. We're going to have our takedown pins pulled out. We're going to take our upper receiver and we're going to mate them upper to lower receiver. I like to push the front takedown pin first, rear takedown pin second. And now we're going to function check our weapon. We're going to pull back on the action, again ensuring this weapon is safe and unloaded, which it is. We're going to release our bolt carrier. We're going to turn the weapon to safe and we're going to pull the trigger. The weapon does not fire. We're going to turn the weapon on to fire. We're going to pull our trigger. It does fire. We're going to hold our trigger down now to check reset. Reset is going to be the action of charging our weapon. We're going to slowly let our trigger out. We will hear and feel a tactile reset. Now the trigger is ready to fire again. Upon pulling the trigger, it will fire again. This weapon has been function checked and is ready to go. To ensure our weapon is safe and unloaded, we're going to pull back on the charge handle. The charge handle is the device located on the back of the weapon. We're going to pull back on that. In turn, that will pull our bolt carrier back. We'll lock our bolt carrier open, and then you can visually inspect that weapon and ensure it is safe and unloaded.